Okay, so there's a new term. Well, it's not new, but you're probably hearing a new term go around now if you're a seller. And because the market's a little bit slower, and you tend to have a few more creative deals, creative options out there now. So one of them is the subject to sale. So what is the subject to sale is, and what does that mean? Basically, there are a few concerns. I won't say concerns. There's some things you should know before you evaluate whether this type of sale is for you. And I'll give you my opinion at the end. So, number one, the first thing to understand is that although the property would be transferring in its deed form, the mortgage would still stay in your name. So you're counting on the fact that the person that's buying the property will obviously continue to make payments in a timely manner, or it could affect your payment, your credit. And if for whatever reason that buyer were to get into a foreclosure proceedings, the bank, because you're the one obligated for the loan, would be coming after you and your credit in that case. That's big, and that's something that you should know. In addition to that, number two is that the majority of lenders have what's called a due on sale clause. So what we mean by a due on sale clause is if that property is transferred without the approval of your existing lender, they can immediately call the whole loan due. So let's suppose that you have a loan amount of say $500,000, and you were to sell the property subject to another buyer, and the lender for whatever reason decided that they wanted to exercise their due on sale clause, that $500,000 would be due immediately to the lender to pay off the loan. So that's something to be aware of, and that's something to kind of have in the back of your mind as a backup plan if something were to happen. The other thing is that, so what happens equity wise? How is that transferred? Well, here's a couple of things. So number one is whatever the let's use that $500,000 loan amount again. Let's suppose that the home is worth 550. So in that particular case, that $50,000, the buyer would be delivering in some form, normally in a cash payment. Now remember, out of that 50,000, your fees and costs are still due. Your escrow, your realtor fees, your title, stuff still due. The other option, though, of course, is that you could take a second trust deed yourself, and that particular buyer could make payments. They can set up and make payments not to you, and make payments up until you come on another interest rate, anything creative like that. So they come in with maybe not the full 50,000, maybe they have 20,000, and then they make payments to you on 30,000. They spread it out over say 4 or 5 years at an interest rate, whatever the prevailing rate would be. So you consider that as well, right? That's definitely an option for you. And my opinion on doing these things is that a lot of it just well. Before I give you my opinion, also I forgot to, and I looked on my notes real quick, is that you should take a look with an attorney and your tax person. Make sure of where you sit in that with taxes and legally, so you can keep yourself in the best position. So now, my opinion. So, yeah, earlier in my career, when the interest rates were really high, properties weren't selling, all of that, you saw a lot of subject twos. Well, you saw a lot of subject twos. A lot of it also happened to depend on whether there was equity in the property or not. Lots of equity. So let's use this example. Let's say that the loan amount is 500, and for whatever reason now the value of the property is only 450 or 475 or something along those lines. Well, you may consider doing a subject to at that point, because let's say they'll still buy it from you for 550, but there's a 500 owed on it. So now you get $50,000, or you get $10,000, whatever it and of course your risk is the credit at that particular point. That becomes your risk. Now, if you have a lot of equity in the property, and this is just my opinion, if you have a lot of equity in the property, I would negotiate whatever the value of my sale is, and look to sell traditionally. I would look to sell traditionally, close escrow, get my money, and move on. But if you have a situation where that maybe that doesn't work and you need to close real quickly, or they're willing to give you a number maybe that's just higher than the amount of money that you would receive in a traditional sale, and you want to roll the dice with it, absolutely. You just want to make sure that you structure it properly and you keep yourself out of trouble and you do the best you can. And there are things you can do to protect you, to whereas as best you can, you don't lose your equity, your credit, those types of things. All right, you are going to start seeing this term more. I'm already starting to hear it and see it again. A lot of it depends upon the area, the location, and the price. And any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you out and give you my opinion of this transaction or this structure, and if you have a transaction in mind that you're trying to either buy it or sell it. Alrighty, take care, everybody.